Well, hello, everybody. I'm Huell. Hi, I'm Huell. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Huell. Hi, I'm Huell. Wait a minute. There's a helicopter coming here. Wait a minute. Oh, get out of here. Look. What is that? Let's get it out of here. Look at this. I thought, what was my feet? Look at this. Oh, my God. And there they are, Louie, up there. That is an amazing sight to see as we continue our search for California's gold.
All right, so here we go again. Huell's Gold, episode 71. I'm Chris.
I'm Allan.
And we're late.
No.
A little bit. It's Memorial Day weekend.
Wait, so are we... We're late for last week's episode, but we're early for this one. Maybe we could just skip the last one.
Sure. however we need to justify you being out of town for a wedding.
Well, we talked about this maybe a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
So is someone lazy for going to bed early and waking up early?
As opposed to...
Or lazy for going to bed late and waking up late?
Yeah, I remember having this conversation, and it's all personal preference. I'm not a sleeper-inner, so...
Okay.
You know, I kind of go to bed late and wake up early. So, like, worst of both worlds.
What's your ideal range?
Well, like, when it's work time, going to bed between 11:30, 12, getting up at 7.
Okay.
Because I don't do more than 7 hours. Do you?
No. 2 to 9.
That's a large range.
No, 2 to 9. 2 a.m.
Oh,
to 9
2 a.m. to 9. Okay. I thought you meant, no, I sleep between 2 and 9 hours a night.
Oh, no. Did you take a nap or go to sleep?
Yeah. So, speaking of sleeping, I can't. I was trying to think of a segue.
Transition there.
Beds are flat. So is this dry lake bed.
Oh, speaking of beds, some people used to sleep out here.
There you go. So, like, I think we mentioned this last week when Monica was our guest for the Psychon episode. This is a really deceptive title, like Dry Lake Bed. You see that on the thing.
Yeah, that's a D- in the naming department.
It has nothing to do with what's going on the lake bed,
It would
why
be like,
it's dry.
Well, for Psychon, if it just said trees.
Cabin. Yeah. So, obviously, this Dry Lake Bed episode really doesn't have much to do with the lake itself. It has more to do with the cars on top of it.
Yeah.
What do you think about this intro? Like, it's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, he's on the Dry Lake Bed.
Do you mean like walking towards us, or
Yeah. Because there's one thing that you put in our like Instagram post, which is that at about 3 minutes in, well, okay, I say 3 minutes in, but did you know? Well, it's on the YouTube video that the video's like messed up.
It has like
has the color bar thing, like the TV signal went out. I don't know. It's a weird video. It's the same on YouTube where there's like 2.5 minutes of blankness.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, at 3 minutes and 30 seconds on Chapman's site, you get that close-up foot shot.
Oh, yeah, the heel scuff.
Why he thought that was necessary and like for such a long shot?
So I was trying to pause that.
Uh-huh.
Like even in slow-mo, I was trying to pause it. His foot moves so fast, it's just a blur.
He's quick kick Huell. Speaking of quick things, that's what this whole thing's about. Like, I vaguely know about these like kind of big, dry, flat, open spaces and cars driving real fast on them. Yeah. Like I've heard of the salt flats before. They mentioned that, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, everyone's wearing like a Bonneville.
Is that where that is?
Yeah.
Okay. This is going to be super like you telling me what's up.
Well, here's the thing. I should make this. This is adjacent to drag racing proper.
Yeah.
So I have a little bit, but not.
It's definitely in your wheelhouse
as
far as cars and driving them fast and stuff. But We should just let Huell do a lot of explaining because this is one of these where there's not a lot of segments, so the opening clip is pretty long, but he explains everything you need to know. So let's do it, yeah?
Yep, let's do it.
Welcome to Edwards Air Force Base, a place that's known all over the world. The space shuttle has landed here numerous times. And when the space shuttle lands, guess what it lands on? Yep, good old Rogers Dry Lake. That's how packed down and dependable this dry lake bed is. But long before the space shuttle, Rogers Dry Lake was the home base, the testing ground, for all sorts of experimental aircraft, going all the way back to the early 1940s. Aircraft that set all kinds of speed records. But before that, something else was going fast out here.
This is a hot rod. And so are these, all of them.
That's right, Mr. Announcer. Starting in the 1920s, this dry lake, then known as Muroc Dry Lake, was the place hot rodders came to from all over Southern California. Now, they came here to conduct time trials, to race against the clock, to check out each other's cars, and to have a good, safe time. If you were a hot rodder, this was the place to be. Everybody knew about Muroc Dry Lake. It was legendary. And then, in December of 1941, the racing stopped. World War II had erupted, and the U.S. military took over the dry lake and turned it into a base that, of course, would eventually become Edwards. The military literally kicked the hot rodders off the dry lake. And things have pretty much been that way ever since, with the Air Force continuing to use the lake as a base and the hot rodders racing on other dry lakes in the area like El Mirage, or going all the way to Bonneville Salt Flats in Utah.
Car 1203, George Calloway, Roadster, driven by Francis Dorr.
But wait! They're back! After an absence of over 50 years, the sound of hot rod engines again filled the air of old Muroc Dry Lake. It was a weekend filled with excitement and nostalgia as the Air Force opened up the base for 2 days of racing. Sponsored by the Southern California Timing Association, all kinds of vehicles were there. Thousands of people showed up to be a part of all this, to be a part of history.
All right, so Eddie's Air Base.
Yeah.
What do you think?
So it didn't even dawn on me that this is a Kern County episode.
Yeah. This is ground zero for chemtrails. This is where they're loaded onto the planes.
Is that real? That's the. No, I mean, I don't think chemtrails are actually a real thing, but that whole conspiracy theory, that's where that gets loaded.
Oh, I don't know.
I know,
I almost want to check it though.
There's apparently gigantic gasoline reserves under Edwards Air Force Base. You know what this?
No.
One of my coworkers at the pool place used to be a truck driver, and he had a gas tanker that he drove. And all the time he would go out to Edwards Air Force Base, and there'd be just these you know how people will have those rocks that cover a utility box or something, those fake plastic rocks that make it not look ugly.
Yeah.
It's one of those, and it just pop up.
Oh.
And he would just unload into these vast underground tanks.
Is it just a stash of fuel there?
Yeah, I don't think it's actually gasoline. I think it was jet fuel and other types of high octanes.
Mm. Yeah, apparently there are chemtrails. I mean, I guess every Air Force base is going to have. I just looked it up while you were talking there.
Oh, the Edwards Air Force chemtrail.
It's not ground zero. It's just
okay. It's
just an Air Force base, and so
it's
an easy target.
I'm sure Edwards Air Force Base has had a number of secret weird things go on.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. My mom couldn't tell me, but her best friend growing up, her cousin? What does it matter? Some person she knew.
Yeah.
worked, had exclusive access to Edwards Air Force Base and saw things, quote, we could not discuss.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
This is getting back into that shipyard where those fools didn't want to talk about the nuclear subs and stuff.
Yeah.
However many 3 episodes ago.
Well, it'd be like loose lips.
Sink ships.
No? Get alien ships. I don't know.
Oh, man. I like the opening title this week because, as you kind of heard on the clip, it's that theme that we use at the end of our show all the time now. But it's the dang space shuttle coming in.
Do you remember this growing up?
Totally, yeah.
Maybe like Jim Scott or Robin Mangren.
Oh, yeah.
Which anyone from Kern County will know who that is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a husband and wife duo on
News,
KGT.
Yeah, newscaster duo.
Yeah, they would, because sometimes they would be rerouted, right? From
The space shuttle would land at Edwards Air Force Base, I guess, right in this dang old lake bed.
Right there, looking at it.
Peeing off all the racers that got kicked out of there in the 40s. So that's our whole story, I guess, is that what is now Rogers Dry Lake Bed used to be called Muroc Dry Lake, was for a number of years, a couple decades, a dirt drag spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
it was a land speed racing mecca. I'm going to call it that.
That's good. Yeah. But right as World War II started, they needed this dry lake to land all the crazy planes they were testing in Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
Kicked them out, and it was 50-year absence, but they're back, as Huell said.
For 2 days.
2 days only. Now, we don't have to look it up if you haven't necessarily, but has this happened again?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
Maybe we'll look it up later, but it's almost like too poetic for it to just have been one more time. But I bet there's been a couple
You
others.
think so? Okay.
Maybe. Because this was in 1996, so maybe before 9/11. I think 9/11 would have been another thing where they're like, no, we're doing some stuff on this. Get out of here, racers. So compare this. You said this is adjacent to your kind of racing world that you were sort of kind of involved in.
Uh-huh.
What's the difference here? Because as far as I can tell, layman, it's the same kind of thing. It's just old cars, but they're racing on dirt.
Okay. So when you're on a drag strip,
Yeah.
you're okay. So talking to Wally Parks,
Who's our first dude?
who's
Yeah.
our first guy, they mention that the most difficult part, because Huell asked him what it's like, he said it's
Yeah.
getting traction.
Mm-hmm.
This is more of a top speed sort of, I think that's how they refer to it as land speed racing.
Yeah.
It's all the things you can do, like top speed. There are time trials, but drag racing at like Famoso drag strip,
Yeah.
you're looking at your 60-foot times, your reaction time. Like it's all about traction.
Okay.
So, and I mean, you do get to the quarter mile too, but it's more of a science. Like the whole point is traction. This one, they're not as concerned.
So this one, you keep saying top speed, and I think I know what that has meant all the years you've been saying it at me. That's just who's going the fastest at the end, right?
Fast you can go, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because as you can tell from kind of the way that this is being talked about throughout the episode, it's all about the miles per hour they're able to get up to. Okay. So,
Which is, because you have the torque where it gets you going, you have the horsepower that keeps you going, and then, which that's a simplification, but then you have the gearing, and you change your gearing. It's too low or too high. You got to find that perfect balance. of
Yeah.
being able to.
I played Need for Speed Underground
Okay,
too.
so you got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that sweet spot. Just hit it right perfect.
And then if you ever, just like Fast and the Furious, if you ever need to go faster, just jam it down to the gear below.
I thought that what is that? Fast and Furious was a really realistic
Yeah,
racing.
well, kind of, but it's more like Cruising USA where you hit the gas pedal a second time.
Yeah, and then the car would buck up a little bit. I forgot about Cruising USA and all those.
So, and this is the thing. I'm no expert on this either. I'm just
More than the layman.
Right, I'm
though.
just a bonehead that used to go out and
Race your car fast.
Yeah.
What
go to the
was
March
your
meets and stuff.
what cars did you have that you would race there though?
So we had a lot of friends' cars. Well, they're more the guinea pigs. We would
Mm-hmm.
put like nitrous on them and stuff. They're all front-wheel drive, which people are going to roll their eyes because
Oh gosh.
whatever. We took the Miata out there, a few Civics. I'm trying to think. There's not very. Oh, my Opel too.
Just
Yeah,
little fast
Opel
boys.
GT,
Yeah.
which is more of an obscure car.
Yeah.
So.
So you mentioned Wally Parks. He's kind of like the first guy we really talked to, and he is a first as far as California's gold is concerned.
Yes, you made this point to me.
Yeah, because it's one of these things that we notice a lot in the later years, but in this early time, everyone Huell walks up to either doesn't know who he is, or if they do, they don't say anything about it. Wally's the first person. Hey, Wall, I'm Huell Hauser. I know who you are. I'm a fan of yours. Huell redirects so quick. Well, hold it up, and he just on to the dry lake bed, on about the racing, and that's his MO for the rest of the show. Like, anytime someone's like, oh, Huell, I love you. You're the greatest. Well, we're here to talk about this. And he's just 90 degrees the other way. So Wally Parks at the time was the president of the Hot Rod Association. See, yeah, I see you have that logo.
You've seen
That
this
NHRA.
logo, right?
So many times.
This is the drag racing, premier drag racing body, right?
Like
Regulatory body or
association,
whatever.
Yeah. That's very NHRA in that oval circle shape.
So he's the founder and president and chairman.
So this is like
He's
an important.
This is
guy.
a famous person recognizing another famous person.
Yeah.
So
As far as the world's concerned, I'll bet Wally Parks probably has more name recognition, I would assume.
Yeah.
But I had never heard of him. But right off the bat, you can tell this guy, he is a man with some power. Did you catch that from him? Like just his kind of soft confidence that he had?
Mm-hmm.
Reminds me of like a bank president or something. not like a shisty guy at all, but just he knows what he's talking about.
Oh yeah.
You came to the right guy. Yeah, let's talk.
There are a few things
Okay.
that he mentions. Huell was asking him because the first time he was out there, what did he say, 1932,
Yeah.
and he had just been in high school, which is
Barely,
He's an
he
older
said.
guy.
Mm-hmm.
So two things we should mention. One, super not with us anymore, but he was
Figured, yeah.
very old.
Mm-hmm.
But he just passed in 2007. So
Okay.
lived a long life.
Long beyond this, like 11 years past this episode we're watching here.
So if you thought that racing on dry lake beds would harm your respiratory system or something, apparently
No.
that's not a problem for these guys.
I think this kind of natural dry dust isn't as bad as like, well, vaping or something stupid like that. Maybe there'll be a study one day. Muroc dust versus vape.
That sounds like a thesis topic right
Yeah.
there. He mentions, okay, so in the 30s, he said in the 20s people would have endurance trials.
Yeah.
Right? Is that what? Yeah, endurance trials. That's right. And I'm guessing just till the car explodes. I don't know.
Yeah,
Just
'cause,
in
I
the
mean,
heat, you're just.
In the 20s, when did cars like commercially become available? Like
I mean,
1910,
Yeah,
1900,
it's like
1910 in
yeah.
that world. So at that time, like this is how I was taking that from him, is that they didn't know how far cars could go as far as like actual distance and just wear and tear. So they're just like tearing around this track or this dry lake bed. Yeah, until it explodes.
let's just see what happens.
Hey, so, okay, you go 500 miles as fast as you can. Get out of the car. It's going to explode.
So this is not the same thing, but it's related.
Mm-hmm.
But major car companies are still in Kern County in the high desert, and they have their things called proving grounds. for
I've
their
heard of those
cars.
like in car commercials and
Yeah.
stuff.
So we have Honda,
Where's that?
right? California City.
That's right up north from where this is, right?
Yeah, it's right by a Jawbone Canyon store. It's right by Red Rock Canyon State Park. And if you zoom in on Google Maps, you can see an oval track,
There it is. Wow.
right? So you have that guy, and then we have...
There must be something about the weather, like the dryness.
I think it's the extreme.
Oh, like so they want to make it hot, like be in the hot to see like how well it can do in the Mojave. What's the other one?
Hyundai and Kia.
Oh, okay.
So I mean,
So the
have you ever
Koreans in
seen
on it.
coming down the 58? If there'll be cars that just have blacked out panels.
Oh, like driving?
Yeah, have you ever seen that?
No.
Okay, well I live on the east side, so
yeah.
we're always on the
I'm
58.
sure you did more.
And you would see cars that are just covered, and but they're driving. That was their new models. They haven't unveiled
No.
that they were testing at the proving grounds. Yeah.
Is that something your dad told you when you were a kid? You're like, yeah, that's
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah.
that's the new one.
So I'm not really into these new cars, but that's what they do.
It's funny, like your dad has a very distinct voice, and you're only doing like 10% of how funny he can really sound if he's like getting.
It was
Getting
fun.
his voice
like
going.
because I worked on compact cars, and he's a muscle car guy, and he would just look at him in disgust and be like, "I can't fit my hand out there." So
To put it in perspective, too, like you lived in the same house your whole life until you moved out of your parents' house,
yeah,
and you guys had a really big backyard.
same bedroom. Yeah,
You guys had a really big backyard that had that weird kind of alley access to it.
yeah.
And
That was where we used to ride go-karts, the dirt path.
because there's like this big open lot, almost like a dry lake bed of your own back there.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's almost like a boneyard back there where like just the generations of cars that you and your brother and your dad like bought, broke, fixed.
There's about a 50% rate of putting them back together. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was the first time I went back, because I went to your house a number of times, but never the backyard. And the first time I went back there, I'm like, holy cow. I wish I could have grown up like this, because I just had a swing set. That was it. But
Yeah, no, it was fun.
It makes sense that you would have been into this. Let me ask you this, though. If you knew what this was about, because in 1996 you were a little kid, but your dad might have been into this, no?
9 years old, I think.
Okay.
8, 9.
Like,
I'm surprised we didn't go to this. Yeah, but whatever.
hey, whatever.
We went to March meets, and it was fun, too. But this was actually an historic thing.
So we're only with Wally for a few minutes, and then Mike Carson, who was the guy who brought us to Wally, and now we're back with Mikey. He's with the Southern California Timing Association. Sounds like a watch company, but
Right.
no, I'm assuming it's like the timing of races and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know what this is?
I mean, because I wasn't around these circles, but you kind of heard about it.
Yeah.
So I looked up. They're the ones, so they mentioned El Mirage, which is in San Bernardino County. It's like another dry lake bed they're on. And they also have an event at Bonneville. So they are, if you're doing land speed racing, that's the
Mecca.
This is it, yeah.
Of the whole country, you think?
As far as I know.
That's the Salt Flats in Utah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this guy, Mike Carson, did you find anything on him?
Couldn't.
He's got such a like normal guy name that it's.
I found a Carlson, but it was Joanne Carlson. That was a part of the Southern California Timing Association, but I'm guessing it's just a similar name.
Yeah, probably. Well, Mike kind of brings us to speed as far as. Did you get that? Brings us to speed.
Yeah, that's good.
About like what it was like back then. Mike obviously is a bit too young to have really experienced it, I think. And honestly, did you get? Well, they don't say his age because you couldn't even find him. But Mike looks like maybe Huell's age at this time. Here's my theory. Tell me if you agree. Someone like Wally, someone like some of the other people that we're going to talk to later, Scotty's muffler, all that stuff. They were there, so they don't like. They have their own memories. They don't need to look stuff up and like research and be all historical about it. But someone who's too young and missed it would want to know it all and do the research. Does Mike give you that gist a little bit?
That he's seen enough?
No. That he's like, he missed out and he's like sad.
Oh, yeah, yes.
So he's always wanted to relive those glory days, or not relive, but live the glory days. Because he's talking about how insane it was and how it was kind of a free-for-all.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get, when is it exactly in the episode when he starts to talk about the types of cars?
Right there, yeah. Hot rods versus the coupes.
Yeah. Okay. Should I just play that part? Because like,
yeah, for sure.
I want to like really break down his way of talking right now. So this is about at 11 minutes 45 seconds. So take a listen.
Now, I've seen the old films. This looks kind of like one of the old cars. Would it have been something like that, or?
They would have primarily run a roadster out here. Very few coupes were allowed to run. It was a class thing. You know, coupes weren't considered hot rods in the old days. It had to be a roadster. No top, no windows. Men were men, and other people drove the coupes. You know, they put the girls in the coupes and let the guys ride the roadsters.
Wow, let's look at this. That's a
coupe. It's a 5-window coupe, and belongs to this gentleman right here, Doug Robinson.
Okay, so. I don't want to completely throw Mike under the bus here, but it certainly sounded like he wanted to say more than he did. Did you catch it?
Yeah, I did.
Like the men were men,
and there's other types,
and the pause. Yeah. Like I think and then he tried to just make it be like a gender thing. I don't think that's exactly what he was going for there. Maybe that some dudes would show up in the coupes and they would maybe think of them as a little
less than manly.
Yeah, a little bit. And then it's the fact that he says this, obviously a little judgmental, a little biased, and then Huell like makes him have to go talk to the coupe dude. And then like, so this is a coupe. It's owned by this gentleman here. And that guy has no idea what Mike had just been saying about him, or at least his car.
Right. Well, and this holds the record, right? Which is kind of funny because...
Yeah, it's the fastest one.
As a hot rod, you'd be operating at a handicap because of the drag that you would have with your giant torso.
Yeah.
I mean, a coupe would have a better...
aerodynamically it makes sense. Yeah.
It just makes so much more sense, so...
But it was probably just a macho thing.
It could have been that the coupes were faster than the hot rods back in the day, and they didn't like that. I don't know.
So, one thing that we got to mention, because right at this point when, what's-his-face, Mike throws the coupes under the bus there, we get our first real good, like, up-close look at the shirt style. And
there's two things that stick out to me.
Okay, because at 12 minutes... 34 seconds, we're talking to the coupe dude, and he's wearing the shirt that I'm specifically referencing.
So my favorite part of the show had nothing to do with the cars.
It's the shirts?
No.
No?
That's your favorite part.
Yeah.
The umbrellas.
Oh,
which we'll get to it.
Yeah. But the shirts, these kinds of shirts, though, like, you had some, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, how can we explain it? For people who aren't watching this.
Colors are largely neon. It's usually a lime green or a purple.
Orange. I've seen a lot of orange too.
And it's just if they took the Hot Wheels package and threw it on a T-shirt.
And it's always, okay, not always, but a lot of times the neon, the kind of like streaking of a car kind of a thing, sometimes even flames throwing up. And then...
Cars are always askew.
Always. It's never like a complete side profile. It's 45 degrees shooting at you kind of thing. Another thing, there's always words, because it's usually for an event, right? These shirts are made for events. Like the one at 1234. It's a Bonneville shirt, you can tell. I don't know what year or what. Why do they always use like 6 different fonts?
It's convoluted. Yeah.
It's like one font is the company, another one is the place, another one is the car, and each one is different, but in like a gradient.
It's like this, okay? It's like they wrote this out on paper. Like, hey, this is what we'll do. This makes sense. We're going to have different fonts so people can stand out.
Okay.
They're just like, I'm not going to say it's not artistic, but it's just one of those things where, well, we wrote it on paper, so we got to do it. And they just slam it onto a T-shirt.
So if you do watch along, the one at 1234 is a good up-close example, but then they pan over to the coupe that we've been talking about, and there's just this row of identical-looking dudes, all with those same kinds of shirts. They must be selling two kinds of hats at this event. Bright neon trucker hats and straw hats.
Yeah.
That's it. It's like every guy is just a variation, like a take on the same guy. And then the car takes off. And they are so excited. So, where are we going after this?
Oh, we get to, before we leave.
Oh,
so the guy's car that we're looking at, his name is Doug Robinson.
Doug Robinson. I knew it was Robinson. I couldn't remember the first name.
Old Doug.
Yeah.
And then he kind of fumbles because the guy's cleaning the window with dust on it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, what are you, he's like, oh, you're a rubber scrubber. And the guy said, I think he said something like, get it right.
Yeah.
Or he said, you need to get it right.
Mm-hmm.
And then Huell hands the microphone over to the guy wiping down the window. He says, I'm the head of the rubbers, scrubbers, scrapers, toters, and fetchers local 210.9.
Like this is some real union.
So
God, you could tell that guy made that up, and he's been proud of that joke all weekend.
That's just, looking for a new body to say it to.
What's his? Did you catch this guy's name? There's two guys that
So the guy on the left.
Okay, we're at like 13 minutes now, and there's these. You can't miss them. You couldn't miss them if you.
These are the Orange Bros.
The brightest neon.
Dude, it's hard
orange
for the camera to even capture the color.
It's so bright, and then
glows.
Okay.
So I don't know the guy on the left. But the guy on the right is Mike Waters, and this is the guy who slammed the walkie-talkie into his pocket, into the pocket of his tee.
And he kind of explains how he takes on what Mike was saying about how it was so chaotic back in the day. He said that back then it was semi-chaotic. And then Huell says, well, what about now? And he says, well, it's semi-organized. Which makes sense.
So about Mike Waters. So he was the president at this is how they introduce him. He was the president of the SCTA, right?
Yeah.
And
the Timing Association. Super not with us. Passed in March of 2017. But the SCTA actually gives a scholarship in his name as active to this day. And a person from Bakersfield was awarded one of those different tiers. Yeah.
One of the scholarships like last year.
Holy cow.
But
Look
it's anyone in engineering and business as long as it has something related to
timing,
what they do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So after this is a pretty jam-packed little segment because right after that we get to Scotty's Muffler, which is the name of a muffler shop, maybe? I don't know. It's hard to tell, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
Because I think basically we got this crazy looking hot rod, a dude sitting in it. His dad is there, and he has got another kind of like fashion stereotype that we've brought up is the old men wearing the trucker hat that's like halfway off their head.
Mm-hmm.
This is the perfect shot to really get a good glimpse of what this looks like because Scotty's muffler dad is it like Louis got a side shot at him, and you can literally see the negative space between head and hat, like between the mesh, and then there's so much going on here.
It's a lot, yeah.
So Huell's like talking to old man Scotty.
arm around. Well, did we already talk with the son in the car?
Yeah, the son's
how
in
it
the
started.
car. Scotty Dad's up top talking to Huell. And then it's like it's time for him to go. Like Scotty Jr.'s got to go. And
Which I didn't. Sorry, I didn't realize that that was his dad when he started telling the story.
Okay.
Right, because this is where he says, "Oh, my mom and dad."
Mm-hmm.
Not like my dad right here.
Yeah.
He was just like, "Oh, my mom and dad used to sleep out here," and I said, "Where'd you put the sleeping bag?" And they said, "Oh, what sleeping bag?"
Yeah.
Oh,
this is that guy.
This
yeah,
is
yeah.
that guy. Yeah.
Okay.
And he and then that's just his dad. He's telling the story of his dad. His dad's right next to him. Anyways, I didn't know until Huell actually started the conversation with him.
I guess, long story short, the Scotty Dad and Mom would just go off far at the other end of the dry lake bed, put up a tarp, like a canvas tarp, kind of just to block the wind, I assume, and just sleep on the
in
dirt.
a row of people. And I heard they lined up just like the cars.
But what I'm assuming is Scotty Jr.'s wife has to quick give this car a push, because it's just one of these split-second decisions where she's just kind of standing there like, oh, does she need a push? Okay. And she just gets right in there. Because homeboy behind is doing a push while holding an umbrella above Scotty Jr.
And they all have the commemorative 1996 tees on, all of them.
So just see this row of they look like football players who all have the same number.
So I will say this. What you saw there I liked, because very spontaneously everyone wants to help.
Yeah.
Each other, whatever, even if it's your own team or another team or whatever. But it's something that I think Wally mentions earlier, is that he mentioned that there was no prizes, no money, just fun. That's probably one of the best things I've heard. Because when you do go out to, I've mentioned March Meets a few times, like these big events, everyone is literally, I don't know how to describe it. It's like they're riding crazy homemade scooters and having everyone shares food. It's pretty fun. It's kind of like a campsite.
Okay, yeah.
But with people who have razor sharp wit. You do not want to get into I don't know.
A debate?
Not even that. Just it's even kind of scary in a conversation with a lot of people.
So it's funny that you're not catching this, and I am. You mentioned that Wally says that no prize money, no nothing, just fun. That doesn't remind you of a specific scene from a television show you watch every day?
Oh, yeah, Frasier.
Which one?
Niall says it. I can see him say it in my head.
Okay. It's when they accidentally take Daphne into Canada.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
What was the purpose of your stay in Canada? Fun.
That's right.
That's what I imagined, someone busting into Edwards Air Force Base. Oh, what's your business here today, sir? Fun. You're darn right. So, where are we now? Oh, there's someone or some people really had the foresight to film those old meets out there in the 40s, because there's lots of footage of that stuff happening, color footage, which World War II era, that's rare.
Yeah.
So,
well, before we move on, we should talk. So the son-father team.
Yeah.
Did you notice what the dad said?
No. Well, probably.
It seemed like he's a little jealous that his kid gets to drive the
car.
Oh,
yeah. What was the quote?
Dude, what does he say? I got to find it.
Oh, his eyes.
So what I said, I encapsulated his minute-long conversation in this.
Yeah.
Well, basically, I'm proud of my son, but I would have rather been driving, if my eyes wouldn't have went bad on me, which is what he says. He says, because I want to commemorate my time out here.
Commemorate?
That's what he says, commemorate.
Commemorate is what he meant.
Yeah,
okay.
But he just, he wanted to just be nostalgic and drive that car.
He wanted to get behind the wheel so bad.
But his eyes are going out on him.
Scotty Sr. eyes giving him a what for. So at about, 16 minutes, Huell sees a teardrop trailer there's a whole episode on teardrops that comes up later on. I think this is the seed of that whole episode, years to come.
Right, but this whole scene here, right, is what does Mike call it? He calls it a parade. A parade of street rodders, and Huell says, what does he say?
I don't.
He says, "This is a feast for the eyes."
Hasn't he said that before?
Just outing himself that I'm not a hot rodder anyway. No one says that, but
he called something a history feast.
A history feast. That's right. Oh, that was the Fort Ross episode.
Yeah, the first episode.
Yeah.
Okay. Then Huell really likes parades. He likes interrupting parades, and it's funny because someone comes and interrupts him during a parade, and I just called him what I call him, like Picture Man, because this dude just bum rushes Huell from behind, and Huell just has to, oh, this guy's got a picture here, and then this dude, did we get his name? No. He just comes up with this picture, and he says it's the Barnyard Engine Swap from 1939, and he's like, what is it? Looking for anyone who was there
that could recognize a car or recognize a person.
Yeah, he finds
no
one,
right?
No one.
And to me, okay, because he's a little out there.
He's weird.
He's a little weird.
Yeah.
The thing that
passionate.
I noticed,
trade weird for passionate.
Yeah,
you can tell he's
like that.
intense.
He's just very into it.
Uh-huh.
He is a hot rod freak.
Yeah. Heck yeah. I think I called him that later on.
So that watch,
that Casio watch,
with the what kind of band is that? How would you describe that band?
That like kind of accordion-y, not elastic. It's like the metal. It's like metal elastic.
Yeah,
I know
it's a trip.
God, my grandpa wore those. The arm hair pinchers
yes.
to no end.
I know, right?
How could you wear that?
I don't know. My dad had one of these, and my mom had a digital watch ring. And they would cruise.
I wanted that watch ring so bad.
Also, was elastic too. The same
yeah,
kind of,
I would always see broken ones at the swap meet, and just I want it so bad. Oh, what time is it? Let me put my fist up to my face. Did she wear it?
I think you wear it upside down though, so you just look at it.
Oh, like you're checking out your engagement ring pose
all the time.
Oh, it's 3:00. Oh man. So one thing I noticed is that Picture Man has all these people autographing his picture who went over 200 miles an hour back then. Okay, cool. Here's what I don't like that he did. It's this big framed picture, but he had them sign the glass on the outside.
Yeah.
Do you see the problem?
Yes, yeah, of course.
You sign the picture and you put it under the glass. I had a little argument with my friend Regina when we went and saw Vincent Gallo's band one time.
Mm-hmm.
And she had a copy of one of his movies. She wanted him to sign it. She had bought a new copy. And I'm like, what are you doing?
I was thinking about Vincent D'Onofrio. Sorry.
No. That would have been an even weirder band. She's like, oh, I'm going to have him autograph it. I was like, well, it's still in the cellophane. Like, yeah, it's new. I want him to sign a new one. I'm like, no, I could just rip that cellophane off. Autograph gone. You got to take the paper out of the DVD case, have that signed, and then put it back in.
It's like having a WCW trading card package you never opened and having Scott Steiner sign the outside of it.
Did you do that?
Huh?
Where is that?
Huh?
Where is it?
What?
Do you have that?
No.
Then what do you... Oh, you're just completely making this up?
No. I just saw Nick had one from high school. He hadn't opened. It's not autographed, but I was just thinking that'd be the same deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's funny, those WCW cards, my friend Matt bought a case of them. Like, not a box of them, a case of boxes.
Okay.
So he thought, like, this is so cool. He opens the case, opens one box, and then realizes there's only so many cards, and there's no special one. So it's just thousands and thousands of the same, like, 25 cards. So he just started giving them out to us, and he gave me one. And I sat there and I opened a bunch of them, and like halfway through, I'm like, yeah, here's here's stunning Steve Austin and flying Brian Pillman again. Like, okay, put it away. But it's still cool. Like, to open those new seals, like an old pack of cards, it's satisfying. Either way, Picture Man, I hope that this frame didn't get a different picture put in it because it would make no sense.
He does say 2 sentences.
Well, he says a lot of sentences.
2 that stick out to me
Okay.
that are representative of how
Freaky he is?
how freaky he is with hot rods. And that is, talking about the event, that this is one of the best things to happen in the history of hot rodding. It is history personified.
Look at that. History.
Oh, you got it. Yeah, you got
nostalgia personified.
Is it nostalgia?
Shoot. Maybe. Either way.
Either
They're
way,
both great.
It's whichever one he actually says. It's good.
So he says something a little funny to me that I thought was interesting. That he's so like he said, this is the greatest day in the history of hot rodding, whatever. But he says that he almost hopes that they don't do it again, something like that. Did you catch that? That
I didn't know.
It's so special that they're doing this like one time reunion event that even if they do it many more times from here on out, it won't be like this time. This time is so special to him.
Okay.
You don't want to go again? I don't know.
Just wants to keep it all to himself.
Yeah. So, what do you think about this next guy, Windshield Man?
Oh, the guy who built the car around Duke Collick's windshield?
Mm-hmm. So, Picture Man said that this whole event was history, nostalgia personified. This guy is freakdom personified.
Yes.
This is that car freak to the max.
That has had to rationalize this so much he just has an answer for you. God. Like, oh, well, yeah, this is a Duke Calix windshield. He only made 12 of them for the Night Raiders Car Club. So, I had to build the car around it.
So,
oh, okay.
Homie gets this windshield at a garage sale, or his grandpa found it in his garage or something. Some story, which he doesn't tell, which kind of drives me nuts. Where'd you get this thing?
Yeah.
Oh, I got this windshield. Oh, there's only 12 of them? Better build the whole car.
It's like, where are the other ones at? Well, they're on all the Batmobiles.
It does kind of look like that. So, Huell, he's definitely not a disrespectful guy purposely, but obviously this windshield is the pride and joy of this guy's life. Even if he's got kids, I think he likes the windshield more.
Mm-hmm.
What does Huell do?
Just puts his paws all over it.
He just makes big dust lines in the windshield. Oh, well, you're not keeping it too clean, are you? Streak, streak, streak. And then they just cut, because the guy probably got out and fought Huell over this. It's so awkward. Oh, man.
That's good.
So, okay. Racing is one thing. My experience, like I think I went to the Mesa Marin Raceway one time as a kid. That was fun. You took me to Famoso for the first time when I was like 27. Also fun. My experience with cars was randomly coming up on hot rod shows, just like cars parked in a downtown.
Yeah.
Pismo Beach always had one. We would have one here from time to time. There was one in like Porterville, I think, one time too. Like, did you go to those?
Just the ones downtown.
Not like out of town.
No, because when you would go to the bigger races, again, for example, the March meets.
Yeah.
This is the big thing at Famoso. They would have a car show there. And like a swap meet.
So it's happening.
Yeah. And okay. Now that we're getting on, we never get his name, the orange hat guy.
Yeah.
He takes us around further, and you start looking at these. They look like Munster cars, right? Like a car the Munsters would drive.
Totally, yeah.
So these are like rat rods, sort of. I mean, these are more put together. Sometimes you've seen rat rods. They're kind of pieced together hot rods.
Yeah.
And they're super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost, yeah. They're just a variant on the hot rod.
I mean, for anyone to have some sort of context who's either not watching this or has no idea about this whole hot rod culture, there's two things I can throw out there that maybe this will make sense beyond the Munster car, which is kind of like an exaggerated version of that.
Yeah.
A lot of these cars are like the ones that they have in the movie Grease, like that kind of a thing.
I've only seen the second one. Do they have him in that?
Probably with Michelle Pfeiffer. It's so weird. Another thing is, if you grew up in the 90s like us, you probably watched a little show called Home Improvement. It was the #1 show for like 10 years. Mm-hmm. Tim Taylor builds a hot rod famously in his garage, and his is like baby blue, but it looks a lot like these. So these are the kinds of cars that we're talking about. Man. God.
Let's just get into it.
21 and a half minutes. Where to start with this guy? Okay. So he's in a big old hot rod car. It says 46 on the side. Huell's talking to him. And there's a passenger in the car who just has to have attention. It's this dude's little black poodly dog.
Dude.
That is like trying to lick Huell's microphone and hand so bad. And Huell just ignores it almost the whole time. Finally, he has to say something while he makes the dude put on his goggles. Even though the dude said, like, I'm not here to race. I just brought my car out. I'm just hanging out. And then Huell's like kind of digging out. I'm like, oh, well, you got the goggles. You got the whole setup. Yeah, gotcha.
I have, for anyone not watching, just check the Instagram. I have a perfect
you got the
screenshot.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do is just look at the screenshot.
Another bit of like freakdom is at like 22 and a half minutes. It's when that dude said that looks like my Roadster.
You're talking about the old man with sagging pants on a step-through beach cruiser?
Yes. Okay, so I'm not at all a car guy. It's pretty obvious by now. You kind of are. Doesn't this kind of look like all the other freaking cars?
Yes, they do.
In the whole place. And this dude somehow, that looks like my exact car.
It's just because the style ended up being a black hot rod.
Yeah.
You know.
There's nothing more to it. I mean, that one had red wheels.
Yeah, but that's about it.
Okay. Then the other thing that the Dry Lake Bed is known for, the wind and dust. And I don't know what Huell thought he was getting himself into, going to a dry, flat, desert environment. It's going to be windy and dusty, like all the time.
Yeah.
And he's dramatically coughing and hacking. Oh, God. I can't even see now. Oh, man. What?
Well, before we get to the final bit, though.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
But before we get there, who reemerges from the dust?
Triumphant return at like 24 and a half minutes. Huell is scraping up the ground, proving that there's dust, and him and this is Mike, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, him and Mike just are walking to the kind of the end of the road where the races are happening, but they're being halted because the wind is getting so high. As you said, triumphant return. Picture man coming in hot with the water bottle. So I'm imagining that he's just following them the whole time.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I think he just pops right into frame. Oh, here's a water.
His face is so close to Louis' camp because he wants to hand Louis a water too. I just feel. Here's the thing, the guy's super nice. He's just
big time.
He just wanted to help, but he also maybe wants to be on camera too.
Because it's not like he's handing Huell the water and looking at Huell. He's looking in the camera,
and he is holding the picture.
Still, of course,
handing out waters under his arm.
Huell does not open the water on camera, but I assume he took a swig as he coughs at 25 minutes, 40 seconds. It's so dusty.
Yeah, Huell says, it dries you out quick, too. Huh?
And then Father's Day car is like the final thing, right?
Yeah. And I think this is the last thing they did in the day as well, because Huell is, well, he looks like a tomato, like a dusty tomato.
His face is so red. He's like sunburned. You can tell he's just like, oh God, I'm so uncomfortable.
Just so much dust.
And he's in one
Like
of
his
these
hair, if you were to swoop it, just...
You know what it's going to look like? Do you remember in The Sandlot when they have the vacuum cleaners?
Yes.
And Timmy Simmons, it blows up and he comes out and he's just covered in dust? I think we've been going out this all wrong. That's what Huell kind of looks like in this scene. Oh, man. So basically, this guy, 25 minutes, 45 seconds, there's this in-car interview. Huell's sitting in the car talking to a guy whose name we don't get. He bought this car we're seeing for his dad for Father's Day. His dad drove it all kinds of miles. He didn't seem too happy about that. I'm guessing the dad passed. He got the car back, and now he's racing it as like a homage to the Pops.
Mm-hmm.
Huell's not having the size of the car, though.
No.
Like, oh, these cars weren't built for big dudes. And then, whoa! Off they go. Into the distance. But that's not it, right?
No.
How? Okay. So many of these shots in this show. What was Louis thinking, man?
Well, in this particular shot, he was on Huell's shoulders.
You gotta be right. So, obviously, like, Huell did his drive off, and then they came back, and then Louis got in the car to get like a POV shot, but he lifted the camera so high that it looks like he's on Huell's shoulders. Oh, man. And that's how it ends. Like, he just pans over, and you can just see he's like 5 feet up from the car. Fade to black. Yeah. That's it. Oh, man.
That was solid.
Yeah. And then there's like 4.5 minutes of jazz music played over top of...
which on YouTube got
cut?
It got pulled,
okay.
Yeah.
We'll go to Chapman. It's all on there. Because some of these home movies are cool. Like, obviously just silent home movies that with this jazz music on top. One thing I'm seeing is there were a lot of weirdo cars out there that were not coupes or roadsters.
Yeah, just like experimental.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, having seen this, what are you looking up?
Nothing.
Yeah, right. I was going to see if you want to see if this still happens.
Let me check that out real quick.
Okay, hold on.
This is amazing.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It doesn't look like it, no.
Even on the website, they don't even mention the name.
No, they just say
the
that
original site. They returned
in
once.
96, which is this year. So, I guess Picture Man got his wish, and it happened one time. And I'm imagining he's at El Mirage like every year, just having people sign picture frames all over the place.
You recognize him?
No? Did you go 200 miles an hour? Are you sure? So, Huell definitely seemed a little out of his element in this one, but whatever. When does he seem super in his element?
Right. But I like it, because even if he's not, he still handles it no fear.
None. No.
At all.
I really wish I had that kind of gumption, that just jump into things. Because I like to know what I'm doing before I do a thing or even talk about a thing.
Mm-hmm. No sirree, Bob.
No. That's why, like, this is plenty good for us as far as hosting shows. Just analyzing the heck out of stupid things. I just wouldn't have the intestinal fortitude.
Oh, Jerry Lawler? Or no, that was
it was a Jim Ross.
Jim Ross.
Yeah,
that's right.
All right, so is that it? Are we good?
I think we're good.
Well,
we just blew an hour of someone's time.
Right.
Sorry about that.
Hey, if you're listening, we appreciate it.
Well, it recently came to my attention that people actually do listen to this show.
Yeah, it's funny because we see our little stats on the site that we upload it to, and they're just numbers, though.
Yeah, it's like 3 or 4 people. You're like, I wonder who they are.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like that, like there's only a couple. But, yeah, you're out there, and you're real people listening to us babble on about Huell Hauser because you liked him as much as we did, I guess. You definitely don't like us.
No. That can't be it.
No. So, another thing, I've been meaning to say this for so many weeks now, and I finally remembered. If you're not following All Things Huell on Facebook, Twitter, I think he's got an Instagram too, you need to. I don't really know who this guy is. I've talked to him some, but...
He's in deep.
Yeah. This is like what we should have been coming into the show. That level of fandom. But like he's got the inside scoop on some stuff. He worked at the he like volunteered at the Chapman Huell exhibit for a while. He was throwing out some rare footage like that LA riots footage on Twitter. If you haven't seen that, you got to see it. It's like Huell in like anger mode. I've never seen it before. Yeah. It's crazy.
He was so angry he was calling license plates phone numbers.
Right. So follow that Instagram. I think maybe Instagram, definitely Twitter and Facebook for sure. All Things Huell. Good stuff. Anyway, where are we going next week?
We're going to Camels.
We're going to Camels. We're going to the Camel cigarette factory. No. That'd be gross. No, the episode called Camels and Bison.
Mm-hmm.
2 places. 2 animals not indigenous to California.
No.
Camels, right here in old the Killer Kern. At what the heck? I'm blanking.
Fort Tejon.
Yeah, Fort Tejon.
Mm-hmm.
Whole story. We've read about it so many times. It's one of these things that Kern County historians love to write about.
Over and over.
Camels in Kern. We'll tell you all about it. And also the bison on Catalina Island. Alan's favorite place he's ever been to.
Yep.
So look forward to that. And look forward to all the shows that we ever do, as long as we do it forever.
That sounds good to me.
So come along with us.
Next
week and every week.
As
we continue our search for Huell's Gold.